Hey guys, so right out of the gate, just like last week's episode, this one definitely gave even more depth to Marco, like in who he is as a character, and really brought him full circle. And I'll get to him in a bit. But in the same vein, this was definitely also an episode where I feel Lyserg's character was brought full circle. And while I do still maintain the transition with Lyserg's character development could have been handled a little bit more smoothly. I do still love how this is like the point in Lyserg's character where everything for him kind of comes crashing down in a severe like dose of like reality, like that's kind of forcing him to just stop leaning on others for easy answers or solutions and really just put him into that perfect position where he's basically now his own person. He's basically now his own person, which again, that's something I think that has been the crux of Lyserg's character journey up to this point, but this feels like the episode where he finally has become that more well-rounded and well-realized character that he was being built up. The development was building him up as, which, if I am being honest, no matter which version of the character it is across the four mediums, whether it's the OG anime, reboot anime, the manga, or even the old PS2 Power Spirit game, Lyserg, for better or worse, has always been in that kind of awkward mid to bottom ranking in terms of my favorite Shaman King characters. But when you do compare the character's journey in the OG anime compared to the reboot, it does ultimately make this version of the character just from kind of like the better contextualized and realized and well-rounded version, I think. Now, with that said, this episode is kind of odd because pacing-wise, it suffers from the exact same issue as episode 37 did, or at least in the first half it did, where there are more than a couple moments and scenes that were cut from the manga, but unlike with that episode, this one feels more structurally stable despite that fact. To put it another way, it didn't feel, unlike episode 37, this episode didn't feel like I was doing a double take every second trying to figure out what the hell is going on. No, it still, despite cutting things out, it is one of those episodes that did still manage to keep itself perfectly paced. With that said, I loved how the fight in this episode played out, because through being like shown like the immense power of Lucifer, it only required a much more stealthy and precise strategy. And honestly, if there was ever a better tactic to use against Lucas, the double fake out would be the way to go. Like especially for someone like Lucas, who is not only so hell bent during this episode on destroying his own legacy, but also as over analytical as he is, it would make it weirdly easy in order to fake him out with a strategy like that. Like, for as over analytical as he is, faking him out is the best strategy to use. I think the only thing honestly, I think so. Yeah, as a whole, this episode was really great in just showing a bit of strategy. I think the only thing I was kind of iffy on is they gave away the ghost a little too early of what happened through like the flashback of Yo whispering his plan to basically Lyserg, but it still works. It's a minor complaint. Getting back to Marco, though, we basically get full disclosure in this episode about his life before becoming an X-Law, which is Marco's whole backstory isn't anything new. It's pretty much in the standard for what we expect from someone who has had an encounter with Hao. But I feel in Marco's case, it really shows the emotional lengths to which people can be pushed to when they encounter Hao. Like Marco's definitely a case of where his encounter with Hao it emotionally destroyed him so much to the point where where the only purpose he felt he did have anymore in life was to, in fact, kill Hao. That was the only way he could make peace with himself. And because Marco at the end of the day is a man who's truly lost everything he loved in that moment, and the X-Laws were really the only thing he had left, which is why ultimately I do like how, despite her still coming to terms with losing the identity she had known her life, it is I do like how it is Jean who ultimately saves Marco from committing suicide and realizes even though they have lost what they've known, that they can still rebuild and start over. And on Jean's side of things, I do like how we how she how even though she already came to terms with the truth a long time ago, she still like appreciates everything that was done for her, because for however much it is worth in the end, becoming the Holy Maiden had given her like a new lease on life, and just allowed her to feel like it was a lease on life where she could actually feel like she was human. And honestly, this is an episode where I would have kind of preferred the anime expanding on Jean's backstory even a little more, even if the reboot is going for the more manga accurate adaptation, because it would just kind of, it's one of those things where you just kind of want to learn a lot more about Jean's life now after this point. But yeah, but even then, I do like how, and even then, even though things kind of all ended a little hunky dory on the X-Laws front, I do like how Marco's deceit still kind of came back to bite him in the ass. Like, yeah, even though they made up in the end, he did kind of lose a little bit of clout with his teammates and whatnot, and with his fellow X-Laws and whatnot. So he's got to kind of rebuild that trust back again. Like, even though they kind of played it up for a joke, it does show that yeah, there are still consequences to him kind of keeping the secret of Jean and whatnot. And yeah, this is also an episode where Yo pretty much expands on what he had been saying this whole time, which is that Hao will win the tournament. But he expands on it by saying Hao winning the tournament is kind of the opening they need in order to actually defeat him, because it provides a perfect, like the way he describes it with the winner like going into this sort of zen sort of like cleansing, as he said. It provides an opening in order to actually defeat him. And I'll be honest, the plan Yo lays out, while a solid one, also just goes to further prove how broken and stupid the whole structure of the shaman fights and tournament really are. Like, and just it makes you question did no one ever think to look at the structure of this tournament, its customs, its rules, and say, you know what? Fuck tradition. We need an update to this shit. Like, it's updated this shit so it's airtight, so this shit can't happen. Like, really, like, did no one? I get there's the old, again, I get it's tradition and whatnot, but seriously, did no one look at this shit and say, you know what? Maybe we need to kind of do a little bit of stretching. We need to do a little bit of reformatting of this whole tournament, its systems, its rules, all that, because this shit's bullshit. Like, seriously, bullshit. Of course, after the whole thing with Yo and discussing the plan to defeat Hao and all that, we do cut the next day where it's Team Ren versus one of Gunhara's teams, and yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Whatever your name is, was all I can say to you is that after the display you put on with Ren in this episode, you being the weakest, yeah, that shit's bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. Like, maybe like on Hara's metric, you're the weakest dude, but generally, no, just no. Like, seriously, Gunhara is just too much. Like, they really proved why they're the biggest obstacle to get to Hao right now, and yeah, obviously but at the same time, this is like the perfect proving ground for Ren to like really show what he can do, what he's what he can do, what he's capable of, and from my knowledge of the manga. Unlike the original anime, where we were just kind of like dick teased about the whole Ren versus Yo thing, from my understanding of reading the manga, yeah, we are gonna get a Ren versus Yo fight. Like, it's not just gonna get dick teased to us. It is gonna happen in this reboot. And for as weird as it is, I do like how everyone is essentially on the same page with the tournament now, and and in the sense where everyone kind of, all the teams, the X-Laws, Yo's group, all of them, even Yo's group, they genuinely, no one is not the only, everyone's kind of on the same page of just kind of doing, of just kind of having their own individual aspirations and reasons to win the tournament now. And although in, like, really when you get down to it, the only real antagonistic force in this whole tournament now is Hao, which I kind of like how everyone is basically just a rival now. Like, no one is technically an enemy anymore. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst, Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell with the subscribe button and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of MMA, signing off. Later, everyone.